Hello and welcome to my channel, Learning with Lulu. So we are about halfway through 2022 and I wanted to share with you the books that I've read so far this year, what I'm currently reading, and what's on my next to read list. So this year has definitely been a year of like mass-produced paperback novels for me. So to start us off, some of the things I've been reading are a lot of Star Trek novels. So the ones I've already read this year are The Abode of Life, Windows on a Lost World, let's see, and then I read one called Twilight's End as well. With these, I purely read them because I am a huge Trekkie of the original series. So the Spock, Captain Kirk, the originals, not like all the new stuff. I really love the original series, and it surprisingly was not a big hit at its like actual time. And so we only got 3 seasons of the originals, and then they were canceled. So these books are just a way for me to get more episodes that feel a little authentic, a little bit more authentic to the original crew. On like looking on Goodreads and whatnot, I actually find a lot of criticism for these like mass-produced Star Trek books, and I'm sure some of those criticisms are valid. I'm sure that I am just like being easily entertained with these, but that's all I'm really looking for, is I'm looking to be easily entertained. Of the Star Trek books I have read so far, Windows on a Lost World has been my least favorite, but I mean they're not terrible, they're just fun. If you are super into the like timeline of things, I can't speak to any of that. I enjoy them a lot. So these two and Twilight's End. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have that one. Hold on a second. I totally do. So Twilight's End. Of the ones I've read so far, I think I'd have to say The Abode of Life might have been my favorite, then Twilight's End, and then Windows on a Lost World. To go along with the whole like mass-produced paperback, my husband and I read Indiana Jones, The Genesis Deluge together. We actually both kind of had the similar criticism on this one. Like one of the fun things about Indiana Jones is like you get to discover these artifacts with him, and in this one it was like an artifact was discovered and then just like that, like we were gone. And even when he was with the artifact, it was like he then went into this kind of like trippy dreamlike state. It was fine. We didn't love it. We definitely have preferred some other Indiana Jones books before, or more so than this one. And then moving away from those, The Way of the Wizard by Deepak Chopra was a book that I read this year. I loved it. It talks about like spiritual ways to kind of like become more enlightened through lessons that like Merlin taught young Arthur before he was King Arthur of Camelot. I love Deepak Chopra. I find him so insightful, and I love how he is able to kind of just like weave together more spiritual thoughts with things that I find to be like valid in their science as well. So I do highly recommend this one by him. Along the lines of like spiritual transformation, I read Pagan Meditations. Now this is an older edition than the version of it I read when I read it the first time. I will say, get the newer edition. I still loved it, as you can see, but there were some things in it, or there were some things missing that I had been looking forward to when I ordered this on Amazon, and this is the copy that came. I'm not going to send it back because, you know, I already annotated and everything, but yeah, it's a really good one. It talks about Aphrodite, Hestia, and Artemis, and just how these feminine archetypes can help benefit not only our own psyches, but also, I would say, just like society as a whole. We need the divine feminine, and this is a really okay. It is kind of like a dense one to read. She's definitely writing to people who also like know a bunch of psychological jargon or psychotherapy, but if you want to brave it, I do highly recommend it. I think I love Pagan Meditations. As I said, it was my second time reading it. I will probably revisit Pagan Meditations again in my life. Then the things that I have already read this year, 7 Days to the Sea. It's a retelling of the Exodus through Zipporah's and Miriam's eyes. This one, it did take me a second to like really love the characters, but like they definitely, I think the author did a really good job on writing characters who were kind of real, and maybe that's why it took me a second, because I'm used to in books having these like larger than life characters, whereas I felt like I was reading about real women. The style of writing is unlike other things I have encountered, but I think it was very intentional, and it did help to create a very beautiful atmosphere that I think the author Rebecca was going for. So I do recommend this one. It was beautiful. I did have to be patient with it at first. And then of books that I don't have here with me that I've read so far this year, I read The Maidens, which, if you want a review on that one, it's a newer release book. If you want a review on it, let me know in the comments below. My husband actually also read that one with me. And The Maidens, it is a murder mystery, and I will say it kept me on the edge of my metaphorical seat for sure, and the ending definitely had me like audibly gasping. I was not anticipating that ending, though my husband did guess it early on, and I had to like keep a straight face. But he'll say, you know, the ending, it's sad. So if you're into murder mysteries and twists that, if you're like me, you didn't see coming, then check this one out. I also read The Hour of the Witch. Again, I think that's a slightly newer one. It was a pretty heavy one for me to read emotionally. Things got like kind of dark, and not because our main character, not because she was a witch or dark or whatever, but things that were happening to her. So that one's pretty heavy. Could be triggering for some people, I think. And then for this channel, this year I finished reading Jane Eyre. Love Jane Eyre, will always recommend that one. That's probably the book that I've reread the most in my life. I always just find such comfort in reading about Jane. I think she's a wonderful character. I think she's beautifully written, and yeah, I love Jane Eyre. And then I also read Prince Caspian, of the Chronicles of Narnia. My husband and I are reading the Chronicles of Narnia to our daughter, so that one got in this year. And I also read Come As You Are, which, read that one if you're like a grown person. It's a book that I highly recommend, highly recommend for anyone who is a female or is in a relationship with a female. So that's all I'll say with that. Now for books that I am currently reading. I am currently reading Star Trek books, of course. So I am reading, oh, and it's not like just one book that I'm reading at the moment. There are multiple, of course, always. So, Star Trek The First Frontier, it's mixing Star Trek and dinosaurs, and so like I have to read it because I'm fascinated by both those things. It is a thicker book than some of the other ones, so that's been interesting. There's definitely more to this story than some of the others. And then the one that I'm reading with my husband is The Vulcan Academy Murders. So this one's taking place on Spock's planet, home planet of Vulcan. Enjoying this one. And then we're reading to my daughter, we're reading her The Silver Chair right now. And then I don't have like a physical copy of it, but on my Kindle, I am reading Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I'm not sure exactly how to say her last name. But beautiful writer. I will say there's like so much to it. Outlander probably isn't one to read if you're just like wanting to get like a good story. It is a good story, but I will say that you can tell she's really intentional about creating a whole aesthetic, a whole atmosphere. So it's one to read like if you have time and you want the atmosphere. Really well crafted. And then once I finish those 4 books, I think the next thing I'll want to be reading is a new book called The House of Hollow. Yeah, I'll like put a link to that one so you can read the book jacket description of it. But just reading the description of that one, I was really drawn in and I really want to read it, but I'm not going to start it yet until I have these other things read. So let me know if you have read any of these books. Let me know what you are currently reading, whether that's one book or many, and what you are looking forward to reading. Thanks for visiting my channel, and I'll see you around.